When it comes to controversy, Logan Paul's name seems to find its way involved. But for this situation, Logan Paul might not be in the wrong. This comes off the back of a very aggressive statement from WWE Hall of Famer Kevin Nash, to which Logan Paul's response was shocking. It all started from a situation that occurred during Hulk Hogan's, speaking of controversial, appearance on Logan Paul's podcast Impulsive. They would discuss topics like politics and also WWE because as Hulk Hogan was one of the most popular superstars in the world at his time, Logan Paul is slowly becoming a household name for WWE fans. For those who don't know, a work is something that is pre-planned or predetermined, so like a match going according to plan. While a shoot is something that's unscripted that happens during a match or a promo. Like that time when Braun Strowman accidentally kneed Brock Lesnar, so Brock got up and punched him in the temple. The look on Hogan's face when he realized Logan Paul had no idea what he was talking about was just shocked, bewilderment, appalled, you name it. Because these are terms that at least 95% of superstars and fans know the definitions of. But as we all know, Logan Paul is fairly new to the world of WWE, and he's also a part-timer, so he doesn't really travel with the company. And if Paul had more time with the company and the superstars involved, he probably would have picked up on these terms a lot faster. Now that's somewhat what Kevin Nash said in response to Hulk Hogan being shocked that Logan Paul didn't know those terms. He just said it with a lot more profanity and a lot more anger. Because Kevin Nash said this when he was talking on his show, Click This. Feel free to pause and read this because if I try to read it, I'll probably end up getting kicked off of YouTube. But for anybody who doesn't feel like reading it or just wants a quick summary, he basically goes to Hulk Hogan and says, how could you expect him to know these terms because he's not really one of the boys? Calling Logan Paul out for making so much money yet only appearing on certain dates and not being a full-timer, and also stating that he just generally doesn't care how many people follow Logan Paul. He could have a bunch of people who follow him, but they're all just a bunch of idiots, except like all of what I just said with like 50 more F-bombs. Now, Kevin Nash has been bitter about WWE superstars before, calling out LA Knight for not being his own character and just trying to copy The Rock and Stone Cold, but then issued an apology later when he kind of hit him with, sorry bro, I wasn't familiar with your work. But this doesn't seem to be one of those situations where we can expect a Kevin Nash apology, and well, that's mostly because of Logan Paul's response. Because while LA Knight's response to Kevin Nash was more of like, I just don't really need to interact with this because I think I'm doing a great job, Logan Paul went directly at Kevin Nash. Because Logan Paul would drop a response video to Kevin Nash on X/Twitter, whatever you want to call it, saying this. So if you want to read this, feel free to pause it here. But for anybody who doesn't want to read it all, here's the quick summary. Logan Paul starts off by saying he has no idea who Kevin Nash is, which is gutsy to say the least. And adding that, yeah, he doesn't really know the lingo very well as his peers and probably should know it a little bit more. But it's the second part of Logan's comments that's catching everyone's eyes because he said, you're one of the old guys who's bitter that I'm better at your job than you ever were, and that makes you pathetic. This will be my sport, and I will continue to make guys like you eat your words, and when I devote a little bit of time to it, so F me, F you. Logan basically said, just wait till I care a little bit more. So obviously the biggest thing to come out of this is Logan Paul saying, I'm better than Kevin Nash. And while there's constantly negative fans that always hate Logan Paul, I'm actually seeing a large portion of fans jumping to Logan Paul's defense saying he didn't say anything wrong, he's already way better in the ring than Kevin Nash ever was. Now for anybody who doesn't follow wrestling, you know, Kevin Nash is a multiple-time world champion, multiple-time Hall of Famer. The guy is very successful in the world of WWE. It's not just accomplishments, meaning championships. He was actually very solid in the ring. He's had great matches in his career. But my controversial take is that Logan Paul is a better visual wrestler than Kevin Nash was. Now, when I say visual wrestler, I'm excluding anything that, you know, could be on the back end. So, for example, if you're calling a spot in the middle of the match or you're trying to audible things, like, I don't know if Logan Paul is good at that, but if I'm just watching a wrestling match with my open eyes and not paying attention to anything else, Logan Paul is better to watch than Kevin Nash. And on the mic, on promos, give me Logan Paul all day. That man is despised by WWE fans everywhere he goes. He gets booed in his own hometown. And yes, majority of his boos probably come from stuff that happened outside of WWE, but he also plays to the crowd really well. He lies, he steals moves from legends, and he also cheats his way to pretty much every victory. And one of the greatest heel moves of all time, he won a championship and never showed up. But looking at the surface of things here, I think Kevin Nash's comments were widely out of line. I think there's one thing in criticizing somebody because you don't think what they're doing is great and maybe trying to give them constructive criticism of how they can improve, but Kevin Nash's comments were just straight up hatred. One of the greatest wrestlers in the world, Kenny Omega, gave his opinion on Logan Paul where he basically said that, does he think he's a great wrestler? Well, maybe he works for the WWE brand of wrestling more, but for New Japan Pro Wrestling and other companies, he probably wouldn't work as well. And Omega's comments were in a way that he didn't really want to tear down anything that Logan Paul had built, but at the same time, he wanted to remind the world that this guy didn't just pick up and become the best wrestler in the world one day. He kind of fits a certain style, and they're very much easing him into things. So Kenny Omega wants to remind everybody that there is a very difficult aspect of professional wrestling, and you can't just pick it up and learn it overnight like Logan Paul did. Which was nothing like Kevin Nash's response, which was just pure anger and aggression. And Logan Paul's comments and response were equally as aggressive. But I do believe his response was a little bit more justified. Now also, Logan Paul does have a bit of an ego, so I don't think he's just going to let that comment go and brush it under the rug. No, if you're going to attack him, he's going to go right back at you. But which situation do you pick in this matter? Do you think Kevin Nash has a right to be angry about Logan Paul being in the WWE? Do you think Logan Paul is right for snapping back at Kevin Nash? Do you think Logan Paul is a better wrestler than Kevin Nash? Let me know down below. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you all next time. Peace.